Welcome to Spoiler Piece Theater, the podcast that doesn't give a shit about spoilers. We just want to talk about the movies. My name is Dave Riedel. I write about movies. My pronouns are he, him, and I'm a member of the Boston Online Film Critics Association.
My name is Evan Crean. My pronouns are he, him. I'm co-chair of the Boston Online Film Critics Association, co-author of Your 80s Movie Guide to Better Living, and co-host of the It's the Pictures podcast.
Yeah, it's the pictures, baby.
Yeah.
It's the Pictures podcast. I just made that up.
Just have a lounge singer intro to the...
I know. I was thinking of Bill Murray being like, Star Wars. So anyway, we are a duo this week. Megan couldn't make the show. So I want to say we'll see you next week, Megan. And this week on the show, we have a couple movies to talk about, which both Evan and I saw. But before we do that, I want to mention over on Ye Olde Patreon, we had a poll this week. The poll was Anthony Hopkins movies. Choose your favorite Anthony Hopkins movie or choose from one of the 6 on this list if your favorite is not in there. And you all chose Fracture, the 2007 legal thriller starring Mr. Hopkins and a very young Ryan Gosling.
Mm-hmm. Fresh-faced.
Fresh-faced. And in Evan's estimation, not a great Okie accent.
Yeah, not great.
So anyway, so that's over in the Patreon. If you're a member, check it out. And if you're not a member, please consider becoming one. $5 a month, free episodes each week, vote in polls, yada, yada.
Mm-hmm.
So this week on the show, very big week. I mean, it's the same as it is every week.
Yeah, couple movies to talk about.
Yeah. So there's a new Netflix movie. We got Lost in Starlight. And then we have John McClane. When he's not running around Nakatomi Plaza, he's making movies. And his new movie is called Tornado. And so first, we are going to talk about Lost in Starlight. This is a Korean movie, although several languages are in it. And it's animated. And here is your one sentence, and it truly is a one sentence IMDb summary. When an astronaut leaves Earth for Mars, the vast infinite space divides star-crossed lovers. Man, that is the vaguest. I mean,
yeah. There's a little more in the storyline section on IMDb. Thankfully.
Oh, is there?
Yeah.
Okay. Let me scroll down.
Yeah, I got Nan Young, whose astronaut mom failed to return to Earth when things went awry during her Mars probe. Wait, that's not even a complete
one
sentence.
Yeah.
Yeah. Nan Young has always dreamed of exploring space too, longs to go to Mars in the hopes of finding a trace of her mom. Her dream comes true when she's selected to be one of the astronauts for a Mars probe project. Before she blasts off, though, she meets Jay, a musician who also fixes retro sound instruments. This is also an equally terrible summary, but it at least it's more.
It's wrong, though. He doesn't fix instruments. He's trying to fix her turntable.
Yes. Yeah, he's like an electronics repair guy who's fixing her broken turntable, and they meet and they fall for each other. And it's complicated because she is ready to go to Mars. That's all she's ever dreamed of. And he's like, please don't go. It's dangerous. Like, I don't want you to go missing or die like your mom did.
Yeah, I don't think he knows the extent of it, though, until toward the end, right before she does leave.
Right.
Just how horrifying it was. And also, he's got a whole thing too, though. He is what would I call him? A failed musician by choice.
Yeah.
Yeah. I'm not sure. Do we ever get why he left their band? Was it stage fright, or she ruined the song, or?
Yeah, I don't know. I was kind of confused about that too. Yeah, it might have been stage fright. Like, he didn't like the limelight. He didn't want to be the center of attention. Like, he liked being more behind the scenes, writing the songs and playing the music.
Yeah.
And then, yeah, it would seem like maybe his former bandmates carried on and kind of made the songs their own. So then he felt like he couldn't really go back to it, I guess.
Yeah. I do appreciate, though, how I always feel like in movies like this, you always get you stole my song, whereas they always gave him credit for the songs.
Right.
So I just want to put that out there. This movie's not also adding that layer of plot in there too.
Yeah.
So what did you think of the animation style?
It's not a style of anime I'm as familiar with. I don't know if this is specifically Korean style anime. I think there are some moments where the film is absolutely beautiful.
Yes.
And there are some moments where the animation just feels really herky-jerky to me.
Yeah, it's Sometimes it feels like rotoscoping, which is for me very hit or miss.
Yeah.
I mostly know rotoscoping from either Aha or Ralph Bakshi movies, So, but what do you think of the meet cute?
I like the meet cute. Like I like that he's like a nerdy like repair guy, and she's got this broken turntable that she needs fixed, and he's like, "Yeah, I'll do it." And then he's like making it his mission to like help her like find the parts, because this takes place in the future. This is the year 2051, and so the supplies to fix this old turntable that was like her mom's turntable, I think, are not easy to come by. So it's really cute that he's like, "Yeah, I'll help you fix it. Like, just come by." And then he's just like, "I'll track down all the parts." And like, she's initially kind of like, "No, I don't want to, like, no attachments, etc." And then he's like, "No, come on, let's like hang out, let's have fun."
Yeah. And I
But not in
appreciate,
like a creepy way, like I
yeah.
enjoy your company and I want to get to know you kind of way.
Yeah, it wasn't like he was like, "No, I want to look at your legs. Go out with me." It's not like that.
Right.
Yeah, I like the meet cute too. I liked the two of them. I thought for some reason I thought he was going to be like some kind of bumpkin or something like that, because usually when somebody is like a repairman in a movie like this and one of you is a scientist, it's like, "Oh, we got two worlds colliding here." But and the bikini inspector is doing the voiceover apparently.
Yep.
But no, in this, he's got his own thing going on, and I choose to think that it was stage fright, because every time he starts playing on stage, he starts sweating and all that kind of stuff. Now it is hot under the lights, but
Well, how about that moment too where he's tuning his guitar and the string breaks free and like lashes him across the face, like cuts his face right before he's about to sing?
All when she is on the verge of death on Mars too. Spoiler: we jumped ahead in the plot a little bit.
Yep.
Yeah, I mean the bulk of the movie is the two of them. It's just their relationship, really.
Yes.
And sort of in the background, you have their secondary stories, which is she is trying to. They've told her she can't go to Mars because her psychological evaluations say that she's like ignoring her mother's death on Mars, basically, and not dealing with the trauma from that. And she's like, "Oh, come on!" And her boss is like, "What, are you kidding me?" And
right. And meanwhile, she has like these hallucinations that kind of like happen in the middle of things, where she's like flashing back to like her mom, and like her mom's like death and stuff.
Yeah. Well, I didn't realize until Jay happens upon it that she actually witnessed her mother's death, which is horrifying.
Yeah.
It happened, audience. What was her character's name? Nan
Nanyang, yeah.
Nanyang. Her mother kept sending, messages back all the time, and she was in the middle of recording one when there was it was an earthquake, right?
Yeah, that caused the research station to collapse or
right,
whatever.
Exactly. So, so she has the video, like, and Jay finds it because he's finally got her turntable fixed. He's looking through records to play on it, and he's like, "Oh, I'll do this one." And there's a QR code, and he like scans the QR code, and then he sees the video, and he's like, and that's when he really freaks out about her going to Mars.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, because he's like, "You didn't tell me about that," So
yeah, I think it's understandable that he freaks out a little bit, and they get into a fight, but then ultimately like she goes, and he's like, "Shit, I gotta make this right." So he contacts her friend and ends up going to surprise her in Houston, I think, before like the launch is supposed to happen. So they get to spend it seems like maybe like a day or a couple of days together, like reconnecting and just enjoying each other, like enjoying each other's company before the launch.
Right. We should mention that she sort of in the relationship, the movie kind of strikes this balance, which I think it does pretty well, of her character towing the line between being irrationally standoffish and rationally standoffish. Do you know what I mean?
Mm-hmm. Yes.
And you really do feel for her in the sense that she's always wanted to go to space. She's got this thing about her mom. she falls in love with this guy that's just going to like make everything, harder, which, we've all seen that in the movies before. And so when they have that
Right.
fight at the end, or toward the end, I should say, and she says, well, let's just end things here. And then he's like, you're so cruel. And I was just like, that was kind of cruel. Ugh.
Mm-hmm.
But at the same time, you make a clean break, you die on Mars, whatever, So I don't know. Maybe that's a little callous. But in the interim, he gets back together with his band after she goes to Mars, and they get signed to a label on the strength of his songs and being back in the band. And while they're having their big showcase, she is on Mars. Everything's going fine. She's like, oh, there's this thing that I got to go look at 2 hours. It's not the microbes there, right, that she's looking for. I can't remember why she's going out there.
She's invented some type of life form detector, I think, or helped refine one. That's how she actually ends up getting on the trip, is they're like, she has something that's so useful to them. And so, yeah, she's like exploring and finds some trace of life. So she's like, I gotta go check it out. And they're like, yeah, sure, it's fine. And then, a storm blows in and she ends up like climbing down into this like cavern, basically, and ends up like falling and cracking her helmet, and her oxygen's running out. And she like, is like in and out of consciousness, not sure if she's even going to survive until she finds this like almost like another like research station down there that
she finds the research station, the lost one. And all of her mother's like botany stuff had survived, and the plants are creating oxygen underground, so she's able to survive that way. I have to tell you, Evan, that I was like, so she's like struggling for like what, the last 15 minutes or so, she's struggling to stay alive as she's like going into this cavern. And it's like, I don't think I've ever seen a movie where the main character struggles to live for 15 minutes and then dies, but this one may be the first. Because it really, I was just like, it's getting more torturous, and it's cutting back and forth between the concert, and he's having these sort of like, I wouldn't say they're premonitions, but he doesn't feel right. He's like, something's not right. He, like you said, he breaks the guitar string, it cuts his face. He can't sing his song when it first comes on, and then he finally does it, and the band like really rocks it out. But then it's like, all the music's set and it's rising, and she's struggling, and there's all the stuff on her face, because you always have to have something reflecting off somebody's helmet when they're dying in space. And she tapes up the helmet like Matt Damon in The Martian. And then the ghost of her mom like takes the helmet off so she can breathe air. And then he like realizes that she's missing because he's seen this all in the news, and he goes to her dad, and who's been sending messages to Mars for like the last 25 years or 30 years or however long it's been. He's like, give me your antenna. And he goes and he sets it up, and he like walkie talkies to her over it, which he had been saying earlier. And he like they had kind of as a joke each kept a walkie talkie just in case. But it turns out because of the radio tower her dad built, she can actually hear him. And all of the messages that he had been sending all those years to Mars had actually been going through. Which that was kind of neat, I thought.
That was neat.
I have to admit.
This is the kind of stuff I feel like you can get away with in anime. When you do sci-fi, it's like you can have a little bit more of like a fantastical element like that that I feel like would work. As is some of the other like technologies that you see, you can do that more effectively with anime, like all the crazy, holograms and screens. Like I really liked the hologram element where like her friend would show up as a hologram in her apartment and just be like walking around looking at her shit and like talking to her, and then like later he is able to like make himself a hologram, and they're like walking hand in hand across like the space ship as it's like going toward Mars. All that I thought was just like really neat.
Yeah, and it's done in a way that's like, it's integrated really well. They do the future technology or whatever that would, that a lot of sci-fi movies about the future kind of fall into the trap of, is like things are either too mundane or they're too fantastical. But this sort of weaves everything in a way that seems like organic's the wrong word because it's all technology, but it's integrated just kind of naturally into everything they do. So the first time you see it, you're like, oh, that's different. But then it just becomes a thing,
right.
That works. So performances, yay, nay.
I thought they were okay. I don't know if it was the style of animation or just like there were like parts where people would be out of breath, and I feel like they were just going way too hard into the being out of breath.
I
Like
feel
if
like
a
that's
character
kind of
was
an
like
anime thing sometimes, though, isn't
like
it?
maybe just feel like there were times where the character would be running, and be like, okay. It felt like it was definitely like overacting.
Yeah.
And I also just felt like the movie, even though it's only like an hour and a half, still felt way too long. Like I think they spent way too much time weirdly on Earth and not enough time in space. It felt almost like rushed, tacked on toward the end. But it did add to the tension, as you mentioned, where it really you knew in the back of your mind that she probably wasn't going to die, but they definitely made it seem like she was in major danger and could die.
Yeah, well, she kept having those visions. Like she has that vision of her mother, and then like her like 6-year-old self like jumps out of her body and runs to her mother, which I was like, okay, we're doing all the metaphysics today.
Mm-hmm.
And then her mother takes off her helmet for her, but then Jay's there too, and she can't like hold on to him. And it's just like, how many hallucinations can one person losing oxygen in their suit have? Apparently,
Yep.
that many. Anyway, I dug this. I had a good time with it.
Oh, that's good.
Yeah. Well, you know me. I like the romances.
Yeah.
I am glad that no one ended up dead. I'm glad it was not a bummer.
A tragic romance. Yeah,
Yeah.
that would have been sad.
Well, I was also a little bit worried that like it would be like one of those sci-fi movies where somebody miraculously escapes something, but it turns out they're just having a hallucination, like The Descent.
Oh God, yeah, that would have been heartbreaking.
Yeah, that would have sucked. So I'm glad I didn't go that route. That would have been a very serious bummer. Did you watch it in Korean or did you watch it in English?
Oh yeah, I watched it in Korean with the English subtitles.
Yeah, me too. I was reading afterward though that Justin Min does the voice of Jay in the English language version. So that might have been interesting.
Yeah, I saw that too, and I was like, oh yeah, I've seen him in quite a few things. I really did like him in what was that
After Yang?
movie? The Greatest Hits. I liked that, and I liked him in Beef.
Yeah.
Did not like him in Shortcomings, but I just feel like that character was such a prick.
Oh, that character was just the worst. Yeah. Well, and After Yang, he's Yang. So
Still need to see that.
Oh, you hadn't seen that? Oh, okay.
No,
That's good. It's a good movie. You should see it. Everybody should
that's
see
what I
it.
hear.
Well, do you have anything else to say about? I was going to say The Last Stardust, but that's not the movie. It's Lost in Starlight.
Lost in Starlight.
The Last Stardust. I guess I would have been thinking of The Last Starfighter. Is that what I was confusing?
Yeah, maybe.
Anyway.
That is a very 80s movie, The Last Starfighter.
Boy. If I recall correctly, that's the first movie to have like entirely computer generated scenes, right?
Did it?
I feel like it. I could be making that up.
No, I mean, you could be right.
Yeah. Listeners, if you know the answer to that, write it down on a 5x7 inch postcard and mail it to Evan.
Mail it to Scruff McGruff, Chicago, Illinois, 60652.
Yeah. And help take a bite out of Lost in Stardust. Like Lost in Starlight. All right. Well, that's that movie. Shall we move on to our second movie of the night? I was going to say Lost in Tornado, but that's not what this movie is called. This movie is called Tornado.
Yes.
And this is written and directed by John McClane. And I made a bad joke at the beginning about when he's not running around Nakatomi Plaza. He's making movies that take place in the 19th century with sort of Western themes.
Like Slow West.
Like Slow West. Or this one, which is Western, but it's set in the Scottish Highlands. And the protagonist is Japanese. So, you know, there's different things going on.
Yeah, it's a Western and a samurai movie.
It tries to be, yes. Here's your, how many sentences here? One sentence IMDb summary. A Japanese puppeteer's daughter gets caught up with criminals when their show crosses paths with a crime gang led by Sugarman and his son Little Sugar. Sugarman played by Tim Roth, whose performance in this, before we get into it, I'm just going to say his performance, highly variable.
Yes.
Like some scenes, it's like, I'm getting the Tim Rothiness of this. And other scenes, it's just like, he's just like waiting for his cup of tea. He wants to go to lunch. Like, I don't know, you know? So anyway, this stars Tim Roth and where's her Koki?
Koki. I think
Koki,
so.
yeah, she plays Tornado, our lead character, and then everybody else. Of course, this is a Western, but written and directed by people from the British Isles, so they all have names like Kitten and Squid Lips and Sugarman. So,
Tim Roth is Sugarman, and then his son Little Sugar is played by Jack Loudon. And then
what have I seen him in?
He's been in a bunch of stuff. I want to say he was in one of the big war movies from the last, like,
he's in Dunkirk.
Yeah,
he's in Dunkirk. Yep. And he's in Small Axe. He's in one of the Small Axe movies.
Yep, Small Axe. Yep. So yeah, you've definitely seen him in things. He kind of looks like Simon Pegg, funny enough to me.
He does. He looks like a younger, better looking Simon Pegg. Not that Simon Pegg is not good looking. I'm just saying Simon Pegg looks like a comedian. That's all I'm going to say.
Right. Yeah, this guy looks like the serious actor version of him.
Yeah, he's the serious actor version of Simon Pegg.
Yeah. Kind of like, he actually kind of looks like to me if Simon Pegg and Tom Hiddleston had a child.
Yes, that's true. He really does. Wow. Well, I think we know a movie I'm going to pitch to the studios. Anyway, so this movie also has like a weird, I mean, it's not weird. It has like the movie opens up at one point and then there's an extended flashback and then it picks up again and carries on the story. But I kind of feel like, I always feel like movies that do that, do you really need the flashback? And I feel like this is one of those movies where I'm like, I think you just could have played this straight through and we would get the same effect.
Yeah. Yeah, I know one of your least favorite things in movies is when they start in the middle and then go back.
Oh my God, the fucking J.J. Abrams of everything, I swear. It's evil and satanic and it must stop. I don't even like it when Tarantino does it, but at least he jumps all over the place. He doesn't just like go to one place and then, it's just like he's everywhere.
Right. Yeah, he's all over the place in a very, very Quentin Tarantino kind of way.
That's right. But anyway, the plot of this is such that Tornado and her father are, puppeteers. They are in, and, they travel and they're with a whole group of people who, I mean, it's kind of like a carnival because there's like a knife thrower and there's some
Strong
guy.
Man.
Yeah. Strong man.
Yeah. There's like a clown guy, I guess.
And there's Joanne Wally. I don't know what she's doing there, but she's there.
Yep.
And I think she's like the manager, right?
Maybe.
Yeah. Anyway, so you got these band of thieves who have got, led by Tim Roth, and they've got 2 bags of gold. And they're like, all right, well, we're going to divide everything up equally. And Little Sugar is like, well, we didn't all do equal work, so we shouldn't divide it up evenly. And his dad, Tim Roth, in one of the scenes where he's good, he's like, yeah, fuck you, Little Sugar. And so
yeah,
there's a little boy in their group. At least I think he's in their group. I'm not even sure.
He's part of, I believe, well, I think, I was going to say I thought he might be associated with like the carnival people, but I think he's just a rando kid who's just like running around this area who like
that
steals
could be
the
too.
gold.
So they give the gold, of course, to the dumbest man in the group who puts it down and leaves it so he can watch the Japanese puppet show.
Yep.
And while they're doing that, the kid steals the gold. And kudos to you, kid, for having the balls to steal. They do go out of their way in this movie to make it clear that these sacks of gold are very heavy. So,
yeah,
well done, kid. And then Tornado, while she's performing in the puppet show, she sees the kid doing this. And then she goes and steals the gold from him and hides it, gives him a couple of pieces of gold and is like, fuck off. And I actually like the way I like the way that it's shot and edited, the way she throws him out of the cart, because I don't know, just the way she closes the door on him and the way the cart's moving away, it just seems so final.
Yeah.
Even though the kid does come back. And I am usually against violence against kids in movies, but this kid's kind of a prick and he's a bad actor. So I gotta say that one didn't bother me so much. But anyway, the movie, I said they jump around in time. The movie has actually opened with all of the, Tim Roth and his guys chasing them like down the highlands into kind of a compound, that one of
like
the
an
locals
estate.
has. Yeah,
Yeah.
an estate. That's a good way to put it. And Little catches her, but then his dad's like, "Little, come out," or whatever Tim Roth fucking does. And he's like, don't move. If you move, I'll kill you. And then he says to a girl who lives in the house, "And if you let her leave, I'll kill you." And then he leaves, and Tornado's like, he's not going to kill you, which he does not, which is good, because that would have been a real bummer if like he came back, he's like, "I told you not to let her go." But anyway, she gets away. We go back to the present. The strong man is hiding her. The guys are coming through. They're like selling hats and t-shirts, and they're looking for her. And the strong man's like, "I'll go kill him." And Tornado's like, "Don't go kill him." And then the strong man gets shot right in the chest the moment he walks out his door with a bow and arrow.
Yep.
But they think he's dead, but he lives long enough to, he kills somebody, right? He stands up and like,
kills one of the people. I don't remember which one.
So the thieves are all kind of getting picked off slowly, either by, members of the carnival, like your strong man. And then you got the poor knife thrower who just like gets stabbed to death off screen. And then you see him like trying to
by
crawl
one of
away.
the gang members. Yeah. He just goes over and kills him.
Well, it was an annoying sound hearing the knives hit that wood over and over. I do have to agree with that. The bad guys kill Tornado's father, and then they shoot the kid in the leg with a bow and arrow, and you think he's dead, but he's not. And Tornado throws the money into the river while she's escaping, and she spits at the money, but then it turns out she kept some anyway. But then she decides she's going to kill him like it's a samurai thing. And so she kills everybody in, some horrific ways, but the CGI is not so good. And some of the kills have CGI blood, but some of them have practical blood. It's varied. I don't really think the guy who like gets his throat cut against the tree, I don't think it would happen that way, but that's just me. But one thing I did appreciate about this, though, is the fact that she removes all the characters who have swords, who are into the samurai thing, they remove their swords the correct way, which is to say they remove the sheath from the sword. They don't remove the sword from the sheath. So otherwise, though, I really liked Slow West. Not sure how I feel about this one. Actually, I'm totally sure. How do you feel about it?
It's funny. I think I'm the reverse. I remember not loving Slow West, but I actually enjoyed this one quite a bit. I like its kind of non-traditional Western setting in Scotland. I like the cast of characters they picked for the gang. And in particular, I was excited to see Rory McCann in this because I really liked him in Game of Thrones. And I love that scene early on where she's hiding in this weird room in that house, which has like an unstable floor, and she almost crashes through it. And then Rory McCann walks through and falls through the floor into the downstairs into a piano. And then he just sits up and goes, "She's not in the piano."
Yeah, that was funny. And I was hoping for more stuff like that in this movie, but the humor in this movie is kind of limited to that moment.
Yeah, that's true. It's not really like a humorous movie. It's otherwise kind of a really like brutal, violent movie. And I liked later on when she starts picking them off one by one. I thought that was really I really enjoyed that. Like, especially that kill you were just talking about where she slits that guy's throat against the sword in the tree. He like swings her father's sword at her and she just like grabs him and like slides his neck against the sharp sword.
Yeah, which was pretty cool until all the blood started flowing out, and it was like ridiculous in the way that you might have it in like a 70s, you know, kung fu movie.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah.
but not all of the kills were like that. Some of the kills were, more mundane's not the right word, more normal. Like before he dies, Tornado's father cuts Tim Roth in the gut.
Yep.
And it's a very real looking, slow bleeding, probably definitely going to die if you don't, get the wound closed. And it does kill him in the end.
Yeah. You
But
just see him like bleeding more and more and more throughout the movie. He keeps lifting up his shirt and seeing how bad it is, and it's just worse and worse.
It's worse every time. And it's just like, well, if we're gonna do the realism like that, why aren't we doing, more? I don't know. I just, you know how you were saying a moment ago that Lost in The Last Starfighter felt long to you, even at 95 minutes or whatever it is.
Mhm.
This felt long to me at 90. I was just like, oh boy. Like, I don't think this movie's bad. I just think it's like really middle of the road, especially, Slow West is, this movie is stylized, but I think it has some things going against it, which is one, everything looks like shit. And that's not because it's shot poorly. It's because it was filmed in January in the Scottish Highlands. So everything is like brown and gray and muted. And they're all running around in the mud so much that by the end of it, they're all covered in mud and whatever. So everything's just very, muddled, for lack of a better word. The only character who really stands out is the one bad guy who's wearing all black because he's also the only one who doesn't get dirty.
Yeah, that's true. He's got that like cool looking hat.
Yeah.
That's all black outfit. Yeah, I didn't think this looked bad. I actually thought I really liked the cinematography in this, and I thought it was stylish but not stylized. Like I feel like when I think of stylized, I think of like movies with like really crazy like animations and like title cards and things like it. This is not that. I liked the cinematography. I thought there was some really interesting shot selection in this. Like one of my favorite shots was after Little Sugar is killed, Tim Roth kills him, and then you see his like corpse on the ground, and the face is looking at the camera, and they're all stepping over him, walking away, and you just see like the camera's on the ground right next to his face, and you see it from that perspective. There was like several shots that I thought this is a really interesting idea for a shot, and I really dug that.
Yeah, it some of it is really interesting, like the way that they shoot them coming up the hill when Tornado first realizes they're being followed, and all you can see are their heads above the hill line. Like that looks really cool. And then the next time you see them, you can see their head and their shoulders, and it's like, oh, the encroaching evil. But my point is just not necessarily the camera work itself, but just like the setting is so
dreary.
It's grim. Dreary. Perfect word. And I think that kind of works against it in a way.
Okay.
Although there were some moments, did you feel this, or see it rather, that it looked like Tornado's hair was blue?
No,
like
I didn't notice
when the
that.
wind was blowing through it.
That's cool.
You didn't notice that? Could have just been me. So, yeah. Let's talk about Tim Roth for a moment.
Sure.
Why do you think? Now this, okay, I'll step back. This seems like a very Tim Roth kind of role.
Totally.
The leader of a gang, has his quips, is kind of over it, is kind of tired, and it seems like the kind of role that is just, like I said, very Tim Roth, and that he could really just eat this part alive. But in some of it, he just seems like he's really bored, and I wonder if that's a function of his character bleeding out, or if it's just choices he made, or was he having a bad day like a third of the time? Like, what happened?
Yeah, I think I agree with you. I think he is he is capable of like eating this role up and doing a really good job with it. But I don't know that he's bored. I think it's more what you're saying. It's a function of his character's kind of, he just like loses his will to live and loses his taste for his like the crime and murder and everything.
That's true.
It just
that
seems
does
like
happen.
you just see him like slowly coming to a realization that this is all just fucking pointless and like, why am I doing this? Like I end up killing my own son. Like, what am I even doing this for? Like, what? I'm literally left with
Yeah.
nothing by the end of this, and I'm dead.
I did like the way that he picked up his son's knife from the ground and just like tossed it away, like, for God's sake, after he's killed him,
Mm-hmm.
and just sort of and I think that he does play that scene well because he has all of that on his face, just like the futility, just like, I forgot, just Jesus, That being said, he did beat his son his entire life, as Little says,
Mm-hmm.
and you do see him whack him once at the beginning of the movie. So when the kid with his weird broken arm, not sure how he broke it, I think he landed on his elbow the
He
wrong
fell
way.
in the mud. He like slipped on the mud.
Well, he fell in the mud, and you hear it break, and I was just like, ugh. I'm like, did he hit it on a rock, or did he just land the wrong way? Like, what happened? And then he goes at his dad when he's only got one good arm, and
It was an odd
that
choice.
was a mistake.
Yeah.
Yeah. Odd decision. Yeah, I did appreciate how his character at the end, when Tornado finds him and he's lying against that tree and he's so close to death, and I can't remember what he says to her, but he basically compliments her on something.
Yeah, he does. She says that her dad was a samurai, and he said he was, and so are you.
Mm-hmm. And it's like, yeah, and then he's like, just leave me alone, and she's like, yeah, okay, and he just dies against.
Yeah,
the
she
tree.
just sits there across from him and watches him die, which is like 2 seconds later. He's not even really dragged out.
Yeah. Yeah, it's such an. I would love to know. I mean, I don't really want to hear actors talk about their craft, but I would like to know some of the reasons that he made some of these decisions.
Yeah,
in this,
I think that would be. Yeah, it would be interesting to see if this was intentional, or maybe, like you said, he really was just kind of bored in places. Not that he would say that, but I feel like you would see in an interview that he would probably just not. He wouldn't have explanations for some of his character choices.
Yeah. Well, like, for example, at the very beginning of the movie, when the Tim Roth and the gang are first chasing Tornado and the kid across the highlands, the gang is like trudging up this hill, and it's like hard work. They're cold, they're wet,
Mm-hmm.
the wind is blowing like a son of a bitch. And I looked this up. This is filmed in January 2024 in Scotland, in the Highlands. So, yoicks, probably pretty fucking cold. And the guy who you learn later is the one responsible for the money going missing,
Mm-hmm.
for the kids stealing it. Tim Roth, just like, whatever his name is, I don't remember his name, but he just calls the guy's name, and he turns around and he says, yep. And as he's walking by, Tim Roth just cuts his throat.
Yeah.
And the guy, like, and I knew that was coming. Like, the moment he called that guy's name and turned, I'm like, well, this guy's dead. But I feel like that was a perfect encapsulation of like what I expected out of Tim Roth the entire movie. Not necessarily that sort of brutality, but that sort of like just Tim Rothness of it. It's just like, it's so decisive, I feel like a lot of his performances, whether they're good guys, bad guys, in between, his motivations are very clear. And in this, it just all seemed kind of muddled to me. Maybe it's a function of getting cut in the gut and killing your own kid. I don't know.
Yeah, it might be. Did you like the score in this movie? I found myself digging it.
I'm not sure I remember it.
I feel like it was very violin heavy, and very just kind of ominous.
I do remember it feeling oppressive in moments, and not oppressive because it was like bad or overdone, but like just the weight of it and the weather and the circumstances just kind of coming together and being like, mm-hmm. That makes sense?
It does. I also really liked Takahiro Hira, who plays her father in this. I thought he was really great.
Yeah. Well, I mean, he's good. I'm trying to remember what I mean, he's in Shogun. And he was in something else relatively recently. He was in Gran Turismo, but I think I'm the only person who saw that in the world.
You might be, because I never saw it.
Yeah. Well, I remember, I don't remember why I saw it. I thought we were going to talk about it, I guess, because I wouldn't have gone out of my way to see that on my own. I mean, let's go watch an Orlando Bloom movie about a car, video game I've never played. Sure. So yeah. Anyway, yeah, he was good. I liked his character's commitment to her, commitment to being a samurai and a performer and doing the right thing, and also like laying down his life for her, even though he's always giving her a hard time about shit, and also hiding the money somewhere so she could find it later. Yeah. So well done, Dead Samurai Dad.
Yeah.
Dead Samurai Dad. That's a movie I'm going to write. Dead Samurai Dad. But he's not a zombie. It's just, he's dead.
Oh, man.
That's so stupid. So what else do you have to say about not Slow West? Oh, good Lord. Tornado.
Yeah, I don't know if I have that much more to say. I liked it. I liked it was just kind of like a brutal, Scottish Western / samurai movie. I liked the kills. I liked the dreariness, the oppressiveness of the score, the good oppressiveness of the score. Like,
you know what I noticed as a person who has seen Heaven's Gate way too many times. There is a direct homage to Heaven's Gate in this, or at least I think it is. There's the moment when Tornado cuts through that white sheet.
Oh yeah.
That's hung to dry.
Love that shot.
And then she walks through it. That's straight out of the very beginning of Heaven's Gate, when Christopher Walken's character shoots an immigrant like through a white, like they're on the other side of the white sheet, and he shoots him, and then he looks through it after he's killed him. It's a lot more violent though in Heaven's Gate.
That movie is fucking brutal.
Yeah.
I mean, this movie is violent, but that movie, woo boy.
Yeah, anybody who's like, Heaven's Gate is boring, I'm like, have you seen the fight scenes in Heaven's Gate? Anyway, well, all right. Well, if you don't have anything more to say about it, I don't really have anything more to say about it. I just, didn't work for me the way it worked for you. That's okay. So I think we're splitsies. I think we went opposite ends this week. Would you recommend Lost in Starlight?
Yeah. I would say I liked it enough to recommend it.
Okay. Yeah, I did too, obviously. And I would put it to, well, we used to say your mileage may vary, but I think what I'll say this week is I wouldn't recommend that you do not see Tornado.
Oh boy.
Is that vague enough for you? I don't know. And it sounds like it gets a go see it from Evan.
I'd give it a thumbs up. Sure.
Okay. All right, gang. Well, then that is this week's episode of Spoiler Piece Theater. I forgot to pull up the outro list, so I'm going to try to do this from memory. Yes, right. We've been doing this show for nearly 11 years, and I still can't remember what happens at the end. So, want to thank our editor, Otto Clamor. Thank you, Otto, for making us sound great each week.
Thanks, Otto.
Want to thank our sponsor piece patron, Heather Sachs, for being our sponsor piece patron. Thank you, Heather.
Thank you, Heather.
You can find Spoiler Piece Theater anywhere you get podcasts. If you want to go to a good place to find them, you can find them on Apple and Spotify. You can also leave us a review there. Leaving reviews directly on places like Apple and Spotify help us out. Or if you want to do a general one, you can go ratethispodcast.com/spoilerpiece. If you would like to get in touch with us for any reason at all to talk about why John McClane stopped hunting down terrorists at Nakatomi Plaza and decided to write and direct a movie set in the Scottish Highlands in the 1800s, you can email us at spoilerpiece@gmail.com. Or if you wanted to give us a call,
you can call 862-21-PEACE.
and leave us a voicemail. Tell us about whether you think this is better or worse than Slow West, or you could also be like, hey, what's Slow West? So there's that too. And also, that movie stars Cody Smith McPhee, and I would normally say any movie that stars him, skip, but it's still a good movie. I know. I say unkind things about that young man. So I think that's everything.
I think you got it. I think you got it. Oh, a reminder about Patreon. Did we mention?
Oh, yeah. We had a poll this month. The subject was Anthony Hopkins movies. You chose the movie Fracture, starring Mr. Hopkins and Ryan Gosling. We had a lot of fun talking about that over on Patreon. So please check that out. $5 a month gets you bonus episodes every week and voting in polls like the ones we just described, or the one we just described. My name is Dave Riedel. I'm a member of the Boston Online Film Critics Association. I'm on all the social medias except for Twitter, and my name is either Dave Sees Movies or David Riedel. So just Google those, and I'm not the painter, I'm the movie critic guy.
Glad you cleared that up.
Yeah.
And my name's Evan Crean, co-chair of the Boston Online Film Critics Association, co-author of your 80s Movie Guide to Better Living, and co-host of the It's Their Pictures podcast. You can follow me on social media. Let's see. This is Twitter, Threads, Blue Sky, Letterboxd, and Instagram as Real Recon, and that's real as in film reel.
Thanks, everyone. We'll see you next week.
Bye.